Hello, happy Tuesday. Welcome to RoboCop Talk. An entire podcast about talking about RoboCop.
Dead or alive, you're watching this cast.
Dead or alive, you're rolling those
Paul
dice.
Verhoeven will be joining us later as a special guest star. That's not true. None of that's true. It's Delve Requisite. As you can maybe see by my face, I am quite sunburnt and just worked almost 12 hours doing intense physical labor, and I have a brain that feels a little bit like a baked potato. So tonight's D&D might be a little weird and maybe a little short. I am warning you in advance. What an uplifting way to start this stream.
I was going to give you DM inspiration for that, but I decided not to.
Welcome to D&D.
Paul Verhoeven is.
I don't want to be murdered by
What's that?
cheese.
So we're confused as to who Paul Verhoeven is.
Paul Verhoeven's the guy that played RoboCop, the original RoboCop.
No, he's the guy that directed.
Or directed the original RoboCop, not played RoboCop.
Yeah.
It's Peter Weller.
Peter Weller played RoboCop.
Peter Weller starred.
Adam was trying to remember his name before stream, and that was why I had it on the brain. But yeah, Paul Verhoeven, because I was doing a bit that it was Robo Talk, our RoboCop podcast. Anyway, let's thank our sponsors before this burning dirigible crashes into the mountainside. Little Dragon Corp and Cardboard Castle, sponsors of Proficiency Bonus. We thank them both very much. Little Dragon Corp is a Canadian-based dice company. You can put exclamation point Little Dragon in the chat at any point during tonight's stream to get a link to their website. I would start doing it, but Jason's going to beat me. Never mind. Little Dragon Corp. You can use our code PROBONUS at checkout if you buy anything from Little Dragon Corp's website, dice or other tabletop RPG, tabletop gaming goodies for 10% discount on our order. The other sponsor, the other code that we have for you is exclamation point CCG. That will give you a link to Cardboard Castle Games, a brick and mortar tabletop gaming store located here in the United States, in Georgia, I believe. You can type exclamation point pickle sandwich and nothing will happen, as we have just discovered. So thank you to Little Dragon Corp and Cardboard Castle for supporting Proficiency Bonus, and if you guys are in the need, that doesn't make sense.
The need for speed.
If you guys have a need for speed and the need for dice, check those two out, and perhaps consider giving them your patrons. We appreciate it. So let us return once more to the world of Agiria, where we are with the Fool's Errand tonight, as they are... I'm going to move our... They are in the Neverian, or the Volandan city of Volranheim. The long-time sort of hometown of one of the party members, Bram, a major metropolis and port city on the eastern side of Orahol, in the kingdom of Voland. The group was sent here on a something of a contract mission from the Ordinum Libri to retrieve a particular rare tome that they had information was to be coming into the city. The tome in question, a study on translocation and teleportation magic written by the apprentice of the original designer of the teleportation spell, which led to modern teleportation magic as it is known in the world today. Odinum Libri does not have a complete set of these tomes, and the volume that they are missing is believed to have been coming here to Vorronheim. The party, using some of Bram's old contacts, some of whom were a little less savory than others, all of whom were a little less savory than anyone that you might expect, would be maybe more accurate to say. They have gleaned a little bit of information on the item in question and its potential whereabouts. They learned that the book in question supposedly came in on a cargo ship some weeks ago and was offloaded along with a number of other things. And some of the cargo on that ship specifically was loaded onto a cart and taken to Uptown, the portion of Volrenheim that sits on a high-rise precipice, sort of cliff-like landmass, reached either by one of the city's great lifts or by circling around the outskirts of the city and going up the steep slope to the west. They learned that, sorry, not Uptown, Hightown. The items that were believed to be offloaded, the book in question that they're looking for, as well as
I believe it was a statue.
Yes, there's another number of other trade antiquities, several Invarian crafted swords, a statue of the Invarian Empire's last emperor, last High Empyrean rather, one Nossum Silverleaf, and a few other odds and ends. They learned that the wagon that was loaded with these goods was taken to Uptown, Hightown, to be brought to a rather wealthy and reputable private auction house, the auction house of Bowker, Codwell, and Sweet. They are, the party has learned, known for sort of dealing in antiquities such as this, and they deal exclusively with these sort of private collector types whom often butt heads with the Ordinum Libri, the Ordinum who would sort of collect these things to redistribute the knowledge and the wealth of arcane learning that can be gathered from these things to all peoples, whereas private collectors are much more interested in getting their hands on these things and kind of hoarding their treasures for themselves. With the prospect of going to kind of scope out this this auction house on the horizon, the group decided before they would set off to do that, they would pay a visit to an establishment that Bram knew of, that Bram brought them to, known as the Twilight Royale. The Twilight Royale is a sort of a musician's haven and tavern and performing house. Bram brought the group there, where they watched several performers play various instruments and do performances. Bram himself played a piece, and we pick back up after hours as the Twilight Royale has been closed down for the evening, and the group, along with Bram and the two owners of the establishment, two individuals, an elf and who appears to be a human, who the party have learned are named Reynard and Isengrin, are speaking with them, and apparently have some sort of a long-standing history with Bram himself. And I believe the very last thing that was said before we wrapped up last time was said by Reynard. I think he cracked a bottle of expensive wine open, and he said something to the extent of, "First we drink, and then we will talk about Troy and Adrian."
Oh, that's right. And Aelar just began laughing.
I was cackling from Aelar. So that's where we are. You guys are in the tavern. It is rather quiet. Most of the staff of the Twilight Royale is not currently in the room. you guys have this chamber to yourself with Reynard and Icewind. Notebook from last week.
My God, he's everywhere.
He does have that reputation, yes. What on earth? Oh, my camera fell. I was like, what are we looking at here?
Oh, this is where we see Matt doesn't wear pants. Well, I mean,
No, it's facing my desk. But I am wearing shorts. They can't see that because I don't have my camera set up for you guys. The chat was able to see. I am in fact wearing pants, thankfully.
That's a relief. We'd have to reset the rating of the stream otherwise.
Yeah, next week we're all gonna be wearing bikinis and being in hot tubs. Get them views.
no,
I know what the kids want.
certainly not that. Oh, don't say kids. Gross.
Yes, that made it worse. That's
I know
my
what the
job,
boys
sir.
want.
Nope.
Boys is still not
Here we-
good.
it's somehow this
I know what men
walk through the death spiral.
And canceled.
Oh, did you ever set up that macro?
I don't know what you're talking about, so no.
Like a button
Self.
on Streamlabs where you just overlay the word canceled on the stream.
No. I could probably do it pretty quickly, but I'm not gonna worry about
Not important.
it. So, you're sitting there with the three of them. Reynard, he turns sort of towards you, Bram, and he says, I take it you have had several interactions with Dorian at this point, yes?
We've ran into him quite. That's wrong character. Hold on.
Arr!
Oh boy. Sorry, there was something salty stuck in my throat there. First time I ever done that. Yeah, we've run into him a bunch. It's got a real pain in the ass. Basically, whenever that guy shows up, he shits on our parade. So.
Isengrim, he kind of says, it is not something that I think he does on purpose. He is carrying the weight of, well,
All
The
of
world
shit that
sounds-
he used to dump on our parade.
the world sounds dramatic, but it is perhaps not as much an overstatement as you would imagine.
No, it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, he says some pretty spooky stuff. That we saw. World-ending stuff.
Isengrim nods, and Reynard says, we have known Dorian for many years. Before we put down roots here, we were in the business of helping those who would be happier not being citizens of the Empire to live elsewhere.
Huh.
Hence how I came to be associated to it.
Reynard sort of smiles fondly at Bram, and he says, "We had somewhat settled down, and we had opened the Twilight Royale by the time our dear Bram came into the picture. But old habits die hard. We still, from time to time, do what we can to help those in unfortunate situation that are often caused by the nature of things in the Empire to find a new life, such as we might be able to. But this is correct. It is how we came upon Bram. With some guidance from Thorian, as it were. Reynard kind of, or Isengrim sort of nods and he says, this is true. You could, in some ways, say that if it were not for Dorian Idrian, we never would have been in a position to help you escape the Empire, Abraham.
Be sure to thank him next time I see him.
He gets kind of a little bit of a scowl on his face, and he says, "Do not thank him too heartily, for he is also responsible for us being forced to bite our tongue for years and years when it came to interfering with the path that you chose for your life." And Reynard kind of like tut-tuts. He says, "Come now. You are being too harsh." He says, "But the rest choose to this. I do not believe that we made any secret of the fact that we did not care for the Brotherhood and those that you were associating with in those days. The types of people who do what need to be done to get by are not to be judged, but we would have steered you to a different path if not for certain promises Torian extracted from us long ago." And Isengrim says, "He assured us that if the trajectory of your life was to follow certain paths, to fall in with Artanis' people, to see them for what they were, and to come out the other side was the only way. It does not mean I like it any more now than I did then."
So, what's our next move then?
He says, "I will tell you in a minute, because I closed all of my tabs."
I mean, it is closing time at the bar, so.
This is true. Okay.
Back when I was a younger kid, when I used to work here, I used to close some tabs because sometimes it involved hitting some kneecaps with some crowbars.
I can assure you that any decapitating crowbars was not at my direction. Nor would I have approved of it if I had known.
What
And
can I say? I'm an improvisational artist.
And Isengrim goes like, so your question to them, what do we do next, or where do we go next? Isengrim had gone upstairs, had gone out of the main room here, and had come back with like a scroll tube thing last time.
Yes.
He slides that across the table to you. And he says, "For now, only this. I have held this for a long, long time. We were told by Torian that the day would come that you would leave this place, and it would seem as if we had lost you forever. But that the day would come that you would return to us. And when that day came, it would be time to give you this. It may not be something that you use today, or tomorrow, or 6 months from now, or... I do not know. All I know is that the time will come that you will need this, and now you have it."
I take it, and then I like go to open it, and I pause to see like if I should be opening this right now or waiting.
They sort of just give you a gesture of like, look, if you want to look. You undo the cap of this scroll tube, and you slide out an extremely, extremely brittle piece of rolled up parchment. And as you...
Why does it say Declaration of Independence on this? When did you get this?
It's all a plan! We have to write in lemon juice on the back. Now, what it is, as you unroll it, is sheet music. Make... trying to think what... I think what role I want to ask for this, because this is like, it doesn't really make sense. This is not a performance check necessarily, but this is like this is a check that, it's more like a history check, but it is a history check that you are like particularly well versed in.
So history check.
Yeah, let's call it a history check with advantage. We'll do it that way.
17.
You look at the sheet music. It's not a particularly long piece. It's only maybe 5 or 6 lines of music. There's no title at the top. There's no signature or anything indicating like the composer or anything like that. The only things you can really tell about this are that it is extremely, extremely old. And as you scan your eyes across the music, you read the notes, and just in your inner like mind, your mind translates the notes that you're reading to a melody. And something about the structure of this piece of music, the way that the composer has pieced this music together, strikes a chord for you. No pun intended. Strikes kind of a tickles something in the back of your mind, and you sort of reach into your bag and you pull out a piece of parchment that you yourself wrote a few months ago, when you copied down the sheet music on the wall, or the door in that huge underground vault beneath the city of Niveria. That that piece of music that you wrote down that you had played on that ancient pipe organ that opened the door. The notes are not the same. It's a different piece of music, but something about the construction of this piece of music rings familiar to you. You believe that this piece of parchment that you were just handed, this piece of music was written by the same person who composed the music that opened that door in the vault beneath Naviria.
When I use Walter as a chair.
When you use Walter as a chair.
It's the joys of playing support.
Interesting. Is can you give me any sort of information on this? Is this like if I play this, the world is gonna explode kind of deal, or
It seems unlikely that the world will explode if you play this music. There is much that we do not know. We have this has been in our possession for longer than you could believe. We do not know its true significance. Only that music of this nature was important in a time gone by, and it has maintained in tradition, though the true meaning perhaps has been lost. There are places in the world, places of invariant design, places in modern design, places even older than the invariants, where music of this type is meaningful and of importance. We cannot tell you when or where or in what context this melody will be perhaps the key to open the door of some problems that you may see no other way out of. And Isengrin says, keep the scroll. Protect it. But more importantly, I would memorize it. The scroll itself is merely paper and ink, crumbling from time. The knowledge that it imparts, the music locked within, this is where the power lies. Commit it to memory, and no matter what happens to the physical sheet music, you will be armed with what you need when the time comes.
well, you two never were straightforward, so I guess this tracks.
Reynard kind of smiles and he sips his wine. He says, "It is not for lack of desire, but we are all of us caught up in this vast and complicated web. And the stakes are quite high." He sort of smiles. He says, "And by no means is our part in this over. We have he and Icewind sort of share a glance. He says, we will have one more part to play, one more performance to give before the curtain sets for us one final time, I think. But that time is not now."
Well, any other incredibly cryptic advice you got?
If you'll give me a few minutes, I could probably think of a few things, but nothing especially relevant to the end of the world.
I do have a question.
Ask and we
you
will
two,
answer if we can.
given your previous business that you still keep a hand in, the border city of Vale. Do you happen to know someone who operates out there by the name of Thorn?
Isengrim sort of like taps his chin, and Reynard says something in a kind of a slushy dialect of Elven that makes it, even for those of you who speak it, a little difficult to understand exactly what he said. And Isengrim nods and he says, he is tiefling, yes, Raxus.
Aelar snaps his fingers and changes his appearance to look like him. Like this.
He sort of nods. He says, "We have not seen him in many, many years. He was but barely more than a teenager just getting started out the last time we had business around those parts of the Empire. Most of our operations have been focused along here, the borders of the Empire are split by the narrow portion of the Dwarves' domain. There are some paths through the wilderness, through the mountains, for those who can make them, that still lead to safety here in Velond." He sort of gestures to Bram as he discusses these. But Reynard says, "We of course we know of him. We know his at least some of his business. Why do you ask?"
Just wondering how the web entangles us at various levels. He's someone who taught me quite a few things. For instance, changing my native tongue from good son of the Empire to what I currently carry.
And Reynard grins and he says, "It is a useful habit if you can get enough practice at it."
I've worked very hard.
And Icinger goes, "Pfeh."
But can't help wondering if, once again, there's a half-elf involved in that story too. We shall see.
Icinger has this sort of like deadpan expression. He says, "There is a very distinct possibility that elf gets around." The two of them look at each other and they say, Reynard says, "It is," he kind of looks at the bottle of wine that you guys have all managed to sort of drain down. He says, "It is getting late. There are rooms here that you may stay if you wish. Any companions
thank you.
of our little Abraham are always welcome here. But for now, we will retire and make our preparations for the morning."
One last thing.
Hmm?
Does the name Pendragon mean anything to either of you two?
They kind of look at each other, and Isengrin says, "Was this used in the context of a code name, you believe?"
Most likely.
He nods, he says, come on. He says, what he knows. He says, this name is not known to us specifically, but we have had our run-ins with the Brotherhood of Artemis on more than one occasion over the course of our long and storied careers. It is not uncommon for the higher-ranking members of their organization to take such code names. It is my understanding that all of this is kept very quiet.
Since we got the name, we haven't gotten much else to go on. It's a long shot.
But we do have access to not only their expertise, but an entire city's libraries when we return to Terra Libra.
Nard kind of arches an eyebrow and he says, if there are questions that you have about the apparition of the Brotherhood of Artemis' power structure, I believe there is someone in the city here, Bram, that you know better than we do, who would have this information.
Do I know who they're referring to?
You would know when you started getting as a young ruffian, when you started kind of getting involved in some of the more rough and tumble business of the city, and eventually were introduced to the Brotherhood of Artanis via a certain individual. There is in fact a person who you almost as much as these two is sort of like the kind of like a linchpin to the formation of Bram Replock. Does that ring the bell of who they're referencing for you?
No.
I want
you have to send me a DM.
I might have to send you a DM. The stream's gonna
It's been so
see
long since I came up with Brom's backstory. I for the life of me can't think of anybody.
Hang on a sec. I'm texting you.
This is named John Cena.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's just a name that's on the notes that was right in front of me that I have minimized.
I was like, I know you have that information. Like you, like.
Yeah, I mean, it was only like a month since we last got
That's
this.
true. It's been a while. Everybody's a little off.
Okay, yeah. Well, I was really hoping not to have to see him, but I guess we will.
Is there answers that you are seeking? He may be the best option.
Yeah. But it's a good 90%. The counter doesn't go well for him, so.
Maybe we should save that for when we're getting ready to leave the city then.
Not the worst idea, but also very discreet.
The pair of them stand up from the table. Icewind grabs the glasses and the empty bottles and things. Begins to clear them away. Reynard, for his party, comes around the table. He sort of hoists you up out of your seat, Bram, and once again he kind of puts you at arm's length and then looks you over as if he's kind of inspecting you. And he has a little bit of a kind of like a sparkle in his eye that you're not quite sure if it's if it's pride or if it's some form of melancholy or if it's just the several glasses of wine that he's ingested. But he kind of looks you over and he nods and he says, "You have grown to be a formidable man, a masterful performer. I see, as I have always seen in you, that there is greatness in your future."
Thank
And
I had pretty good teachers.
he smiles and once again he like grabs the full sides of your head and just like puts this like big smacker right on your forehead, and he kind of like waves to the rest of you, and he sort of strolls over towards where Icewind has waiting by the side of the bar, having put away the bottles and stuff. And Icewind sort of like puts out an arm, and Reynard rests a hand sort of over it, and the two of them head upstairs.
And I turned to the group, although I did have to overcome some. I mean, they may be cool and whatnot, but Ice over there plays the loot like he's got hooves for hands.
I have excellent hearing.
I know!
You are an ungrateful swine. Sleep well, I will talk to you in the morning.
Nice work. Great performance, Bram.
Who's
I'll most
for-
likely kill you in the morning.
Whose for hands all the better to beat you senseless with?
Well, got along.
Well, let's try and get some sleep. I'd rather not try to negotiate with a auction house owner with a distinct hangover.
Oh, that's the angle we're going with this one.
Well, I believe the plan was diplomacy first, and subterfuge second, and violence on the list, but way down.
You're muted, Ozrius.
He wasn't. We just couldn't hear him.
Now he's more muted.
Now he's muted. What the heck?
You weren't muted, but we couldn't hear you. Yeah, we can't hear him.
Yeah, we're not getting any audio.
What you don't
Please
know is
stand
that Walter
by.
cast silence and nobody didn't tell anybody.
Even though we can't hear him, I know as soon as he went, what? I knew that.
I
was
saw
gonna-
that. I did read that on his lips.
we have closed captioning in the form of reading his expression.
We should have tuned to the rest of the show where Ozrius pantomime.
No, I can't hear you still.
He might have to drop out and drop back.
Yeah.
But still. So brace yourself, stream. It's gonna screw things up.
Will it though?
Nope.
Still can't hear him.
Your mouth is moving.
Butts.
Oh boy! Remember we said this is gonna be a short session.
Might be a real
Might
short
be
session.
shorter than we think. Anyway, either of you two got any questions? Any of that? It just happened. Meanwhile, Oz is literally. I imagine Oz is just like completely distracted by something on the ceiling.
All right, now you're deafened, which he can't hear because he's deafened. Eh? No. There it goes. Say something.
Nope. Cool.
This is the second muted F word we've seen.
I've never seen Invariant Ignean Ale do that to anyone.
He got the
Must
wine
be a
of
Stonegly
silence.
thing.
Oh, God.
I will say, Bram, enjoy that your cryptic messengers are alive. It is
Yeah.
far preferable to trying to figure out when you can talk to them.
That sounds very tragic for you. Anyway, the other individual that they mentioned, just a heads up, probably one of the shittiest people in the entire city. So that's gonna be fun.
That's a very worrying
impressive.
statement.
Yeah, it's a high bar, right? Yeah.
That's I'm curious.
Especially because
now.
there's a lot of lawyers in this city.
Oh, good God.
Is it one of them?
No, surprisingly
Oh,
not.
that makes it even worse.
Or better?
No, worse.
What a terrible place this city is.
It's not great.
I mean, I've been to some shitty places in both Mithlinde and in the Ignean Empire, but this already sounds nightmarish.
Yeah, I've been to some terrible places.
I've been to Pittsburgh. That's a
It's
an unstoppable pigeon inside joke.
Yeah. So.
All right, let's do this. Let's take our break a little early tonight. We'll go to mid rolls, give everybody a chance to get some drink, stretch their legs, use the restroom, whatever, and we'll see if we can't figure out what the heck is going on with Kurtis' mic. We will be back shortly. Bye. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. As you can see, unfortunately, we are down an Ozrius. It seems the universe continues to align to make it difficult for us to play D&D. So we're gonna call it for tonight. Kurtis has been messing around. We think his mic literally broke live on air. So we don't know what's going on. Jason is some sort of a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure character. I'm not sure what's happening here.
I'm just eating cheeseburgers, and I just now saw my cell phone's camera. So,
So unfortunately, we're gonna call it a little bit early tonight. As Curtis's his mic is broken, I'm clearly a most of a cherry tomato. Probably have heat stroke, and we don't want to continue without that 1/4 of our group. So thank you for those of you who did stick with us. The little bit we got to play, about an hour we got to play tonight. Thank you for hanging out with us. We will hopefully be back issue free next Tuesday with the Pirates, and that should be more than enough time for the follow-up week after that for us all to pitch in and buy Kurtis the literal most expensive microphone on the planet and some sort of an extended warranty protection on it so that it doesn't break. But thank you for sticking with us tonight. Thank you, of course, to our sponsors, Little Dragon Corp and Cardboard Castle, and we hope all of you have a lovely evening, and we will catch you next week. Bye.